Hi, Paul Slackis, Good News Planet. I'm here with Kimberly Friedmutter. Hi, how are you?
Good, so good. Thank you.
I am really excited to get to speak with you. And actually, we talked a little bit before we started recording. And this, Kimberly, I feel like a friend with you already. I think you have a gift. And that gift, it comes out. She has a wonderful book. It's called Subconscious Power. Use your inner mind to create the life you've always wanted. She's helped a lot of people do that and help them even get a parking lot space or something. I don't, you, and maybe more significant kind of things. But I love the way you think about life. How do you think about life?
I am an internal optimist for sure because, I'm in the behavioral change business. And so I do believe that a leopard can change its spots. And in fact, I've seen it so many times that I'm convinced of it. One of my mantras is expect the exceptional. I'm more surprised when exceptional things don't happen than when they do. When they do, I feel like it's normal course of business during the day. And when they don't, I'm completely surprised. So if
Love
that's
it.
it up for you, I don't know. I did have to create it. I wasn't raised that way. But all I did is I looked at the outcome of the way, other people were thinking about life. And I thought, oh gosh, I don't necessarily want that. My mother died when she was fairly young at 50 years old. And so I tried to backtrack and deconstruct what I thought could be the issues, of course, from my perspective as a child. And that really set that motion because I thought, like the old saying, you're going to be right. You can either think good about it or negatively about it. One way you're going to be right. And so that was really, I guess, the premise for that thought process. And then, of course, like anything that we practice, we get better at it. So the more I practice that positivity, and that's a very, global, broad term, but the more I practiced it deeply inside with the subconscious, which is my whole impetus for going to that part of the mind, was that I saw that it was working. So I thought, stick with it.
I love it. I love my mother was the librarian at Temple Emmanuel here in New York, and she
Oh,
gave me Reverend Norman Vincent Peale's book, The Power of Positive Thinking,
oh my goodness.
in high school. And so positive thinking, I think like you, I think everything I went to new seminary, interfaith, became a spiritual interfaith reverend. And every once in a while, there would be one guy who would stand up. It's a miracle. I think it's all a miracle. I think getting up is a miracle. Talking to you right now is a miracle. Do you think like that? You just sounded like you do.
Yeah, I don't know that. I think it's more like a normal state of being that good things happen.
Yes. Okay.
It's so right. So I'm not so sure. Like I do when I see people come and their bodies heal themselves. Now that's fascinating to me because it's science, mixed with this mystical thing of the body and the mind and the brain that we don't understand. And so I love that part of it. That's probably where I go the miracle route. But as far as really amazing things happening, now I do have, people in my close group and circle that they taste the coffee in the morning and they're like, oh my gosh, this is the best cup of coffee I ever had. And it's like Groundhog Day. That's really their belief system each and every day. And I love that. It's very childlike, it's very nubile thinking, and it's very fresh.
So how do we build upon it? And what are some of the good thoughts here? Your number three bestseller on the CEO Reads Business bestseller. Business? Hold on, let me look at that again. Business. Are you telling me somebody in business is thinking subconsciously or not
Everyone in
subconsciously?
business, everyone in business should be thinking subconsciously. This is the interesting thing, and I'm so glad that you brought that up because the book did a crossover. If it was a piece of music, it would have crossed over from pop to country and vice versa, right? So I
Okay.
was really excited about it moving into the business sector, and it surprised me in a way, and then in a way it didn't because I have a lot of CEOs, I have a lot of people that are involved in big industry, and what happens is everything that you do stems from your thoughts first. My husband's an architect, and so if he doesn't draw it, it doesn't get built, right? So if
Okay.
you don't create it first, it doesn't end up actualizing. And the beauty of people in business shouting this out from the mountaintops, and they do. I just did a thing on CNBC Make It series, a beautiful piece about how that thought process really starts with you, and then it manifests as what we call good business or big business. And so literally for it to cross over like that, it also crossed over in college, sending this book for your children in college. The best book women can read, the best book a man can read, lawyers. I mean, it really took that business route, and I was super excited to see that.
Do you think, we are in March of 2021. We just have had a very, very difficult, I'll bring it up, past year. Um, uh, Maybe the hardest ever in any of our lives. As we slowly get back to filling up some of these buildings in Manhattan and with corporations and companies, I think this is a wonderful time for you and for what you speak on, because this is the time for a company to reevaluate, to re-examine, because we're gonna need to re-examine that somebody's in Alaska doing business, but they used to be in the office here in New York, but they decided to go to Alaska. Are they going to stay in Alaska? Are they going to come to New York? So what do you think in regard to our, let's say, startup again?
I say it's all hands on deck. We have reinvented ourselves without our initial agreement on that. A lot of times some of the best things that happen to us, we're forced into and pushed into and metamorphosed into. And that's exactly what happened. Evolution took a jump without our, permission, asking, compliance, any of the above. But we rose to that occasion, and we really did. There's a thing considered hedonic adaptation in the mind. And what that basically is that we get accustomed to that thing that we have. We adapt hedonically to that. And so that's what we did. We adapted to life the way that it was. And now we're adapting to this new evolutionary push and surge that we're now involved in. And again, like this wave that just swept us up and took us. The smart ones move with the change. The smart ones are flexible and they pivot with what's happening. The ones that get stuck, I liken it to like I'm from Texas, and so an old oak tree that's static, and it's there, it's monolithic, and it's, the old bitter tree that won't move and it won't flex. So the first wind that comes, that branch snaps off, as opposed to being like kelp in the ocean, that it's flexible, it's nubile. Things are going to move and change, as we've seen, again, without our compliance, our permission, asking us anything, right? And so here we are, and you look at the true survivors of that flexibility, that flex point that you have as your baseline will be your best friend throughout life. Even in family, family order, whoever thought that children would be out of school for so long and all of this going on? And, the real shifts in power became then those people who were seeking health and fitness. Also from the neck up. I mean, thank you for bringing up the fact that mental wellness and health is on the rise. And it is, because it's the first time we've really looked at it as a global issue and not as something wrong with someone.
So how would you want a board or the executives of a company, let's talk business talk for a moment,
Sure.
To sit down and to utilize your book to their best advantage?
Yes. So that would be like literally within components or individualizing the company, each person getting on board with being in touch with what they know is happening. There's an internal drumbeat in us. There's an internal GPS and an alignment with us. And that alignment within each individual of a company is very important. It's similar to, if you imagine a highway and expressway, where if you have individual cars that all know that this is the speed and this is how we're doing it, and we're merging and we're doing it, goes smooth. But when you have so many individual components that are not on board with that or don't know about it, that's when we start to have bumps and bruises and problems occur within a company. So I say that you get the book, you get the information, whatever delivery system you use for that, you get it to your people, because once everybody's aware and they really start honing in, because the other thing is we're using our subconscious mind. It's just not that we're so aware that we're using it. And when you link that awareness with the fact that you are using it, beautiful things happen. The idea to move a company this direction, or to, reach out, something as simple as reaching out to certain clients or people that are buying something from you, whatever that is, really touch that point, because there's a broader intelligence inside of us. And now we're connecting the mind to the gut. We're talking about that second brain. You'll hear a lot about that in the upcoming years, and, probably even in the next few months. But it's very exciting because biohacking and all of this interest in the mind is elevating our performance to unheard of levels.
So there's one word in there. Well, you have a lot of good stuff, but this word is of interest to me. Procrastination. So, you know, even, you know, what's procrastination to you? What do you, what do you think of when you wrote procrastination, or you think procrastination?
So I usually associate that with my apathy to action. And apathy to action is where really somebody is just sitting on the sidelines of life and not really participating in the game. And so procrastination is a component of that. You know, tomorrow, next week, whatever, we all know that feeling, right? So the problem with that is that we are pack and herd animals at our core. And in that core is move and migrate with the pack and the herd. Every now and then there will be a few outliers that want to sit and wait and want to kind of just get up in the wave of, or get caught up in that wave of movement, as opposed to really initiating their part in the plan. And so procrastination would be that wait, wait, wait. The problem with that is you miss everything. There is really no waiting. You know that, what is it? No Country for Old Men, right? There's no waiting. You just have to get in there, roll up your sleeves, because here's the flip side that most procrastinators don't realize is you're going to feel better when you participate. Most people think when they procrastinate that they'll feel worse when they procrastinate or when they participate. So the procrastination actually is that impetus for feeling bad. People will come and they're depressed or they have anxiety or fear. And so I just say to them, you know, what are you actually doing? What action are you putting behind? Because production is happiness. Period, plain and simple. If you're procrastinating, you're literally your own co-creator in your depression, anxiety, fear, or any of those maladies.
You might stay up all night and not get any good sleep, thinking, you know, why didn't I do this today? Why didn't I do this tomorrow? Why? They got a lot of whys here.
Very dangerous, actually. You know, it
I
feels
think so.
surface, but it's actually very dangerous. I would say it's a toxicity that we really need to address, because it also is mimicry. You know, you might have seen your parents procrastinate. You might have best friends that procrastinate. It's something that's almost contagious.
Yeah, I agree with you. I agree with you. You know, they always say, hang out with the positive ones, the
Oh, yeah.
doers.
Well, and the active ones, like if you want anything done, we all know that you have to go to the busiest person. You know, if you
Right.
want someone to help you with something, go to the busiest person you know, and it'll get done. You know, the counterintuitive part is, oh, I'll go to the one that I think has time for this. Absolutely not. Go to the one that you know is on that wheel, is already playing the game and already on the field.
And sometimes it's very surprising on how quickly you can get that something done that you didn't deal with. You know, sometimes it could be 5 minutes.
Oh yeah, and
But
it feels so good when you do it. You feel like a rock star. You're just like, oh my gosh, I think, what else can I do now? It literally is. It's like anything that inertia to start from zero and static placement into movement. That's just the first push. Throw on your tennis shoes, get to the gym. Write that email, send it out. I mean, the amount tenfold that comes back to you in energy when you just put a little bit of action, the reaction that you get back is just simple quantum physics.
how did you get involved with this kind of way of sharing yourself? What did you feel that gave you the confidence so you didn't procrastinate? So you got out there and you get out there and you share your gift.
So a couple of things. One, I had a radio talk show in Los Angeles on the Howard Stern station, which was considered, they call it the Howard Stern station, 97.1 KLSX Los Angeles. And it was the FM talk station with Tom Likas and all of those gentlemen. And so it was very male driven, a lot of male listeners. I was feeling this just kind of internal stage fright, which is funny because you're not on stage, as you know, radio, you're just there in a studio, but so many people were listening and it was so male content driven that I was very nervous about it at first. So I sought the help of a hypnotist and it worked for me. It was funny because during the session, I just thought, oh, I'm just lying here relaxing, like this is the easiest thing I've ever done. And I had been involved with cognitive behavioral therapy in the past, but it was nothing like that. I literally just felt like I had a nice little 20-minute snooze. And then when I went back on air, I literally could not find the fear, the anxiety. I couldn't find the butterflies. And I was looking for them. I was actively thinking, well, is it going to be in the next outro or intro, or when is it going to come back? This friend that I've become so accustomed to, that I have this love-hate relationship with. And sure enough, I couldn't find the fear. I couldn't find any of that angst. So then I thought, wow, this is interesting because it felt very good for me on this end. And I'd love to know what those internal workings were, what was really happening with the mind. And so when I did, I thought this is a slam dunk for me, because this is like everything I'm about. Make it easy, make it effortless, make it feel good, and then get on with our lives and have this wonderful life.
Rock and roll. All right, that's fantastic. Let me ask you, we're involved, I mentioned earlier, with World Peace and the International Day of Peace, September 21st. And I've asked thousands of people, what does peace mean for them? So if you wouldn't mind, Kimberly, how about you? What makes your life peaceful?
Well, what makes my life peaceful is mental peace and peace of mind. Look, we have this beautiful mechanism inside of us, and to be at peace with who you are, how you are, and others. We're all trying to do the best we can. That's one of the primal directives of the subconscious, and why we can be so apathetic, empathetic, sympathetic, and so loving and forgiving towards others, is because we have this internal mechanism to do so. It really is who we are. So tapping into that, I think, can be your best friend and your best ally in getting along with others. So I would have to say, really making mental peace with yourself.
Okay, thank you so much for sharing all your good news. You're a natural, and we appreciate it. Thank you so much.